A worry was like, are all these 20-year-old guys who have no experience at all going to actually figure it out, or are they going to just like flop?
Why didn't YC try to build something very similar to this?
I think it wasn't proven for sure. There was not like a long-term play here. Like the point was like, let's just try it out and see what happens. Our first batch is raised like $16 million now in like less than a year. It worked out.
Today, I'm very excited to interview Jakob Diepenbrock, the founder and GP of the only hard tech residency here in El Segundo. Your first cohort was, I believe, like last year, in early April-ish. But before that, you kind of started off by doing like fireside chats. How did that initially kind of come together?
Basically, it was a couple events we did at different schools with the goal of like, we got sponsors, like 15, 17 fund, sponsored one, Contrary, sponsored one, those kind of types of funds who basically wanted to see interesting deal flow, and we had interesting focus because I think people started to know what was going on in like hard tech or American animism generally. And then those went really well. I had a lot of interest from people there. And then the thought was like, what's the best way to get people who like fit this persona that we'd found through these events and talking to people into a place that like fits the values and the focus of what we're trying to do. I'd been a guestus around like that summer before, and I saw El Segundo as making sense for a place.
How did you end up, being in El Segundo?
Well, I remember we almost did the first cohort actually in like San Francisco.
Really?
We almost did it there. But then I remember I was like in Europe and I saw like Augustus tweet about El Segundo. Like this like makes sense for what we care about. And
this is after the El Salvador trip?
Yeah, this was like I was in Europe for like Christmas break, and I was just like scrolling on Twitter at night, and I was like, saw the tweet. I'm like, oh, like I know this guy. He's in El Segundo. I'm like, I just texted him like, yo, like this looks kind of cool. Can we just like bring a bunch of cots and sleep in your office? And then he said yes. We ended up not doing that because we ended up just getting an apartment because it was easier.
Yeah. What was it like? Because you actually did the first cohort in just like the garage on the side of Augustus's building.
Yeah, we did the last one actually, like a lot of it there.
Yeah, on the like upper floor, right?
Upper floor, yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay.
It was fun. I mean, that was when it was Valor's space.
Yeah.
So, but there was like nothing there. Like it was like literally, we just had the whole space, which was kind of cool. So yeah, it was fun. I mean, the last one, it's cool like seeing how stuff has grown. Like the first time it was like us, it had like bottom half, like it was just like a couple people. Isaiah was like, there's like a table and there was something on the table. There's some other stuff, but like it was obviously they've grown a ton in the last like less than a year, which is kind of insane.
Let's say you're, in your bed at night in December of 2023, I think it was, right?
I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, you've done a few talks, like fireside chats with people. You've talked with like a few different, I think, funds and like gotten advice and stuff. And you're designing the program, or what you are considering the program. Were you like afraid at all that no one would show up or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think. Well, I remember thinking about. I remember thinking about this. Now, when I understand how much these funds don't care about money, it's like it's a little bit less. But I was kind of like, it's like 20 grand or something like that. I don't want to just blow it. Nothing happens out of it. And then it's just like my chance is gone. That didn't happen, which was good. But I think I was thinking that like, oh, like it's like my one chance of this. None of these companies all suck, and they just go back to whatever they were doing before. Like it's bad for what I care about, and it's also bad for my
just
career
in general.
Yeah.
And I also imagine that it's like bad for, you tried out this thing where you're like, okay, here, try to help a lot of companies with similar values succeed, and suddenly it just like doesn't work.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel great,
Yeah. I think it's a good sign that all of them have now, pretty much all of them have all raised a lot of money.
Of the 10?
Yeah.
Every single one?
Besides one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. We have a Series A from the first batch 2 weeks ago. Obviously Ted is doing really well. So yeah, pretty awesome.
So the cohort is in March, and you're gonna stay in Augustus' place, decide not to do that. Mm-hmm. Like, how much did it cost for the Airbnb?
I think the Airbnb, we definitely did that illegally.
Right.
It's a good thing there were no cameras.
Not zoned for business.
Sorry?
Not zoned for business.
Yeah, exactly. We had like for people on cot, like Uly's was on a cot, I remember. I think Ted was on a cot too. We had like 2 bunk beds stacked up next to each other, like a cot on the ground, like a mattress on the ground.
Were the conversations with the founders before they joined like, hey, this is a new thing and there may be some games?
The first one was like completely Like we didn't ask for anything beforehand. It was just like come hang out and like see what happens.
Oh, so there wasn't even necessarily like insane structure. It was just like come.
That would just come
for a
pretty
week.
much. And like if it works, we'll try to make something work afterwards. What you did, like I did work afterwards. But yeah, basically it was just come hang out. It was the first one was only a week.
Yeah.
Still a week, but the first one was only a week. So it was like if it was like 3 months in cost, it'd probably be a bigger deal. But it was okay. And everybody liked it afterwards. Everybody's like, this is awesome. Ask Ted, he'll tell you.
I think everyone liked it, and I think that it was just kind of like it was like scrappy, and it felt scrappy.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's like also the optimal way for a startup to start.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and yeah, it worked out. Like, yeah, I mean, everybody went off to raise money afterwards. Again, most people. So it was like, if they didn't raise any money, they'd be a little bit more mad.
Yeah.
But it was. I think it was also good value. There's not really any place in the world where it's like young people, young guys who are trying to build these companies like are just insane if they do work. And like you just are like literally living with them, right? Like that's like that wouldn't work just for like HR reasons for most other funds. So yeah, it's cool. It's like it's an interesting vibe.
Yeah, I would also kind of wonder. I imagine that you've thought about this a lot, but like, why didn't YC or some other accelerator or residency try to build something very similar to this? Because it worked.
Well, I think it wasn't proven for sure.
Yeah.
Like I kind of just like took a bet on, I think if like the value, because I think I had the good thing was I basically, there was not like a long-term play here. Like the point was like, let's just try it out and see what happens. So I could bet on like Augustus, who's like, it only raised a pre-seed at that point, and like the culture that they were like pushing out there. As opposed to like, I don't think YC would do that at that point because nothing was really proven at then. They have to like make these big decisions. Like now, I think it's pretty proven at this point. But I think, yeah, I think I'd like we had the opportunity that like we could try stuff out in a way most people can't. And then I think now it makes sense. But I think the issue now is like El Segundo is very unique, and like again the culture part plus like the actual application of the culture, like what people are building, which is like hardware mostly, and in industries that matter a lot more for like the nation. And I think I think the main issue is just like, I mean if you want to talk about YC in particular, I think it's just like the software, mostly software focused group, and SF is mostly software focused. Like the investors most invest in B2B SaaS or general like software. The talent's mostly like software talent, which is fair, and that's important. It's just like you got to pick what you want to focus on. Like you can't really do both. It's just very different types of companies, right? And like,
because people like self-select too for what they want to go be part of.
Exactly. And I think like, yeah, it's just hard to, it's just, they're not similar enough where you can like combine the two in a way that works well. Yeah, I think that's the main issue.
Do you have any awesome stories from that first batch?
Yeah, I mean, I think like we did like runs every day. That was fun. Some people got mad. I remember there's one name names. Some people didn't like the run. They just like wouldn't do it. That was funny.
Do you just love running?
No, I just thought it was like fun. I got like 6 a.m. I didn't sleep much that week. Most people didn't, but yeah, we just get up 6 a.m. go to bed like 1 a.m. like drink like cores or whatever. I don't know. We had like whatever it was till 1, and then just like while working with a bunch of like I remember Peter Goldsboro, the guy who started Rune. He brought these like Swedish like nicotine pouches that were like 35 milligrams, something insane.
Oh wow!
People were just trying to like didn't feel good
just
and
absolutely
go
gone
out of it.
Yeah,
he took him like a boss, but that was fun. Yeah, I mean it's just like very high intensity. And
did you also get the like loadout package at the first cohort as well, or just this one for like Monster and Zen?
That was cohort 2 is higher quality. Everybody got Zen, everybody got Monster energy drinks, everybody got
a white Monster,
everybody got a quarter zip. So it worked out.
amazing. Okay, what were the biggest like things looking back on that you think from like cohort 1 to cohort 2, you're just like obvious things in hindsight, but at the time you just made a mistake on not knowing to think about them?
Honestly, like not a ton change, because I think the first cohort worked so well that like, yeah, like we had companies come in, like our first batch is raised like $60 million now in like less than a year. So I think I just kind of thought a lot more about like what did work. There's not nothing that like didn't work. It's more of like what worked really well, how we like
and what can we like press on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is like the types of companies we focus on, like where to find these people, that kind of stuff. Well, that was less of like what can I remove, because we didn't remove a ton just because nothing like was an issue.
What were the biggest like levers? Did you keep the morning runs?
We did yeah, runs. We did a gym sesh. I didn't have enough money. I didn't have enough money to pay for the gym for everybody last time, so we just do runs. Plus, like the squat rack and not anymore. It wasn't Rainmaker at the time. That was kind of the combo. Now we got the gym and a workout. So
yeah. How long did it take before? Like, I know that you just spent, I don't know, was it like 6 or 8 months raising money after that?
So end of the cohort, which was like end of March when the cohort happened, I basically knew I wanted to do something here. I talked to one of my advisors, Josh from Champion Hill, about this for like a while, and then I like decided I was gonna raise a fund in June. I was trying to figure out the best way to structure it. I almost thought about. I told you earlier, like basically I thought about doing like an operating company, like where you just raise money out of the operating company and then just deploy out of that. So there's no time bound.
Why'd you decide to not do that?
There's like a clear way to structure a fund that I couldn't like get behind it. Yeah, the benefit basically of doing the operating company, I couldn't figure out the strong benefit behind doing that. It's like a fund. It's like very clear. You just like raise money, take fee, take carry, easy. Operating company, it's like you said, how do you value it? Like, what's the whole process behind like when you raise it? Like, there's like a lot more things that come up that like
investors are also saying like if you raise $1 million to 10 million valuation, they're like, why am I only getting 1/10?
Yeah, exactly. It's just hard to like be able to project anything at that point.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yeah, how do you value like like 10 million, whatever? I don't know.
It's all dependent on like your ability to like raise in the future.
Yeah.
Is the first people's, the first believers.
Yeah. Entrepreneur First, they did it that way. Actually, I don't know if you know that. Like they raised like recently, like I think 100 million at like some insane valuation. So they did it that way. But yeah, I just couldn't really figure out the exact benefit of doing it that way.
Interesting. Okay, so after you decide,
and the taxes also are worse as well.
Yeah,
taxes,
it's like 30% tax.
It's like double taxation because it's like a C corp versus like LP. There's no tax until you make profit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after you decided to not do that, like, what were you thinking next, and how'd you go through the process of like deciding, okay, I'm gonna do a normal fund structure or relatively normal fund structure, and then just go about raising it?
Yeah, well, yeah, I decided like I was gonna do the fund structure, I think in like June, and I spent like the summer pretty much just talking to people. I was in DC for the summer working at one of my friends' startups, just doing software stuff on the side, and then basically decided that June, July, August, like I would talk to people, like getting calls with GPs and just like get their feedback. And then so I think I like started officially fundraising in August, like put my deck out and everything, and then it was like insane how long it took to raise like first.
Why do you think that was? Like, it seemed, I mean, multiple companies had raised already by the time you're starting to raise,
people are so
right?
momentum based, like and everything, like even in fundraising, like even like fund,
especially for like LP stuff, right?
Yeah, especially when I literally like I get why they weren't super like. I think it obviously worked well. It's just like I was 20, I'd never run a fund before. I mean, it's probably main stuff was that like I had no like real like monetary track record, and like I didn't invest in all these companies. I had like options too. That's kind of how I did after. That's the way it worked. I was like afterwards, like, hey, like, can I invest at your pre-seed price when I raise a fund? Everybody was like, yeah. So I did that. That helped to raise some money. But it was like the first checks were like 25K, 50K. I had one person pull out like a 25K check at my first, like, and I had like 100K raised at that point. And then I'm like, shoot, dude. And then people like just wouldn't talk to me. It was a pain actually. I had one guy who ran a fund of funds. Like he like in his like LinkedIn, it was like, click this link to book a call with me. And I booked the link and he said, who are you? And I said, I'm Jacob. Like, how big is your fund? I'm like, I'm going to raise like probably like 6 million. He's like, just hung up on me.
Like on the call?
Yeah. And then he blocked me on LinkedIn.
What?
I don't know why. It was insane. Like I had to have it. And I'm like,
probably didn't want to raise from that guy anyway then.
Yeah.
Probably not.
But like I had a lot of stuff like that where it was like 3 calls to raise like 50K or something like that. And it was like that for a long time. And I the first close was around like $1 million or so. So I had a couple like, I basically kind of figured out how to like, how to like get people. It's fundraising all about like getting the right people on your side, right? So like I gave like some carry to like some advisors that like knew a lot of high net worths, but that's kind of how you have to work with high net worths for your first fund usually. And then that like basically incentivized them to send people my way who when people ask about fun stuff. So like Josh Diamond helped a lot with that early on, and Josh Manchester as well. Like Kevin Hart, I don't know if you know him. He was like one of my original LPs. He helped with a bunch of intros to people, and that led to a lot of stuff. So yeah, like once I got, like I put their faces on my deck as well, and that helped a lot.
How do you think about kind of getting people to support you? Because there's like a bunch of, not only is there a bunch of people that are supporting you on like the fundraising side, but there's also like a bunch of the best founders here in El Segundo and like Hawthorne, Torrance, and all that want to like, you know, do a session with all the cohort founders.
Well, I think most people want to help. Like if you say like, hey, we have like 10 of the best founders in the world who are like at the earliest stages of building these like next generation of these important companies, like where a lot of them were in this, like, they were in a similar place at one point. People will do that. The issue is like, I think it's hard to get people to come if it's like just talk at my school, nobody cares. But this is like a very unique thing, right? Where it's like
you brought these group of guys together.
This is unique. We're like the only fun in the Gundo. Yeah. Now it's easy, but like the first one, it was more of just going to my advisors who knew people. Like we got like Scott Nolan, the first one, through like Josh Manchester, Delian, who just like DM on Twitter, and he just responded. Like Chris Power, same thing. So like there's a lot of that stuff, and just talking about like who we brought in, like the founders, what like their backgrounds were. Like we were the only group in Gundo that was trying to do something like this, and people like that.
When you're thinking about like trying to, not necessarily, I wouldn't necessarily like say scale, but I would say that, let's say like post batch, give those founders some sort of advantage. How do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think like the biggest value we have is like with this network nobody else can just like give you access to like that. Like I think the fact that we are here means we can get all these people that like wouldn't fly up to SF just like that. They're just here. Like they can just drive over here, right? So I think like the network is like the biggest advantage. Like if you are, I don't know, like for first batch, like Peter, who's at Andrew, like he had no connections to these funds or to these founders, and like he met them, introduced and let us around like right out of the batch, and like that wouldn't have happened without there. So I think it's just like if you are early, if you are technical, if you're young, and you have like a deep passion for what you're building, you have been more focused on like the heads down building side of things. If we can just be like that original network connector. Obviously, we're not going to teach you how to talk to people. Like most people haven't figured it out. And we screen for that. But like being like the initial partner into like the network that actually matters for venture is important, and that's helpful. So I think it's like a lot of the network, and then fundraising. Fundraising is really just like basically get a lot of people in front of the founders, right? Like good founders will raise without our help, but if we can just get like 100 investors in front of them, just like that,
make it easier.
That's a lot easier, right? Because especially when you're early, you don't have the connections. It's just like a pain. It takes a long time.
For this like next cohort that you're going to do, is there anything that you're going to change drastically, or are you going to keep the same like 2 weeks, do a demo day at the end?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah. So a lot, well, it's going to be 2 weeks. First one was only 1 week. So that's one change.
Why 2 weeks instead of longer or shorter?
We just got feedback there. Like people don't want like the 3 month type thing that most patches are.
They actually don't want it.
Yeah, exactly. I just think like the value is like how quick and like intense it is.
Yeah.
And like afterwards, if you want to live with these people, like you feel free, but like 3 months is kind of long if you don't want to just live with these people all the time. So like you get the good people, you figure out who you like. If you like it, you get the main value, which is like the network connection, like the plug into this like general Gundo network, and then the fundraise help. And then once you finish that up, it's like if you want to live with these people, go for it. But yeah, I think.
But mainly you're just like plugging them in and then letting them cook.
The main thing is like be part of this like exclusive group of like the best founders coming to the Gundo. Like that's the main value. I think people like that, and everybody, we have like a lot of good people behind us already that like if you get buy-in from me, you get buy-in from a lot of these people that like our advisors are part of the fund in some way. So that's like the biggest access point is like you have none of these connections. It's gonna be pretty hard to just figure out. Like you can DM people if you want, but it doesn't really work like that unfortunately anymore.
Yeah. Have you been, is there like a big enough magnet right now where you can get people that could have or might have built companies in like SF or elsewhere to come here?
Well, I think like the culture part, we like I found the people who we bring in like need to know like about the Gundo. Like a lot of people, like not a single founder we had to like can explain to them what else Gundo was. That was never the case.
Did they all come through like Twitter?
Mostly Twitter, like referrals from people in the area. That's still the way it is. It's really hard. Like most founders CSF, fairly so, of like the hub of entrepreneurship, which it is. But yeah, I think most people who know about what we're doing or like fit for what we're doing, like know in some form already. Yeah.
How are you thinking about like actually scaling the program?
Yeah, I think there's like two options. Like one, like do like HF0, you were there the other day with me, like that kind of like bigger, longer term thing, which I'm not that excited about because I think like our thing works. We get similar economics to them and it works well. I think their thing works for SF. I think our thing works for El Segundo. So I think that's like first thing is like, it's an option. I don't know if I'm gonna do that. I think other options are just like we have a very clear advantage just being here in El Segundo every day, that we can like know these people really well, like know the inside scoops on stuff, and that's valuable in just investing generally. So I think like if we have the first look at all the best founders, we brought a ton of people here. Like you saw this morning, all the people were part of our batches in some form, and like we know them super well. Like I'm friends with them. I know what's going on in their lives. I know it's like how their companies are actually going. It's not how they're investor facing, but like how they actually are doing. And that's helpful to make decisions for investing. So I think that's gonna be the.
Do you have like a privileged position of knowing maybe more of the like raw story of what's going on, and having that relationship with founders kind of thing?
I think like being young, being friends with them. Like I literally am sleeping in Duran's office. Like
how'd that happen, by the way? You just said
Ted's just a nice guy.
Ted's just a nice guy.
Hey, I need to get an apartment at some point. Do you have an apartment?
No, I sleep at John's.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
We're in the same boat.
Same boat. Yeah. Are you gonna do anything on scaling the batch size, or are you gonna try?
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely. I don't want to scale to like YC side, but I think like 10, 15 in that range.
You want to keep it that small?
I do want to keep it small. Yeah.
Okay.
If we get a lot more interest, like we just can't deal with it in like one batch, I would just do more batches. That's what I would do. Like right now we're doing 3 years a plan. I would just do like 4 or 5 years if I could. But they are 2 weeks long. It's pretty quick, right? I just don't think it never works well if you have 200, 300 whatever people in your batch. It just becomes so hard. Like you can't know anybody personally.
No one builds connections.
Exactly. Nothing like nobody's close. Like people on our batches are so close, which is cool. Like they're like friends of people, and like they actually want to hang out with them. Like that's not how most stuff is.
What's been the most surprising thing for you?
One thing I will say, like early on, I think a worry was like, are all these 20-year-old guys who have no experience at all building X, Y, or Z going to actually figure it out, or are they going to just like flop, right? Like I think seeing like even Duran early on, they were like across the street actually, and it was like just Ted, and like there was nothing in the office, just like Ted, and it was like I think there's definitely a worry from some investors like, oh, not him generally, just like generally like it's like these are kids, right, or young people.
Did any of the people actually build any hardware during the week, or was it just like grinding on
grinding fundraise?
You were just vibe maxing.
Exactly.
Right.
Which worked.
It worked.
Look at Darren, dude. Look at Darren.
Yeah. What are you most excited about for the next batch?
I think we've hit like a point where I'm getting so much inbound now, which is pretty cool. Like I think first batch, that was not the case. I'd like find people and like just hunt them down and beg them to come. Not beg them, but like I had to like ask them to come. Second batch was like we had inbound. People were excited about what we were doing. I mean, last batch was the first one where we like just like invested all the companies just like that. So that was one thing that's proven now, which is good. So now it's like just repeat the same process. Like last batch worked great. Like I'm happy with that. I think now it's just like repeat the same process. And now I think we're at the point where it's just like
show consistency.
Exactly. So I think like that's where we're at now, which is good.
When do you think you're going to do the third batch?
It'll be in the fall. It's already September, October.
What's the logic behind like doing that then versus like, I don't know, a month faster or something? I guess it's
just fundraising. Like you can't fundraise in the summer. Like July or like June, you can fundraise, but like it's already June and the last batch ended and it takes 2 months to prepare. So like that wouldn't really work because it was in April. So it's like it would have to be like earliest July, but like investors don't exist in July. They're like in Europe or something. August
on vacation.
So it's like September is then like the earliest we can do. So probably September is the plan.
Okay. What's the hardest thing you've overcome?
And this is not like crazy, but I think there's definitely like a point where like you're like not in network, then you're in network. You know what I mean? Like where like stuff flips. And I think like when I was in high school, I would like LinkedIn connect with every single person and then nobody would respond. Like I actually have people now responding to my LinkedIn messages from high school because like they see me on LinkedIn or whatever or wherever. I don't know. But like it's happened recently. Something. And they just like say, oh, hey man. I'm like, dude, I texted you when I was like 15 and you ignored me for 6 years or something. Like
shows like a 6-year gap.
No, literally, I'm not joking. That's literally what it was. But I think most people like just don't get to the point where they're part. Like there's definitely a flip. Like when I remember Gus telling me in El Salvador, like he was like, hey, like you're at the point now where you can like talk to anybody you want. I thought like, wow, like this is actually probably true. Just like I was in the right rooms at that point, I think. But I think like most people don't get to that point. I think like that's the hardest part, just like getting people to actually think you're legit, not just like some outsider. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, probably had the same thing of like nobody took you seriously probably when you first started, and just keep being consistent until people see you over and over again. And they just like, oh, this guy's here.
All right. So what was the first company that you founded?
So basically, the first company was actually 3 companies. I just forgot about the other one. So the first one was a watch company called Lusso Luxury Watches, and I made a Wix store to try to sell.
How old were you?
Like 13.
13. Okay.
Try to drop ship watches. I didn't know what drop shipping was. I just thought it'd be a good idea. And then actually, there were a lot of companies.
And why'd you start that instead of like anything else? Was it just because you were like, oh, it's expensive and I can create an online store easily?
Yeah, exactly. And it looked horrible. Like I didn't want to pay for the premium Wix.
Right.
So it was just like.
So it's the $10 like free Wix version with
where it said like the Wix banner at the bottom. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Did you end up selling any watches?
No, I sold 0.
Sold 0.
And then the next thing did work, kind of. Basically, the next thing was I figured out what drop shipping was after that, and then I started drop shipping back braces, and that went pretty well. Like I sold like not that well, like $1,000, something like that of it, and then like boom, then I.
And how old were you there?
Around the same age, like 14.
Still 13, 14.
Yeah, like 8, freshman year of high school.
You'd evolved from no sales to some sales.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Go in the right direction.
The next one was cool. Basically, back brace. Yeah, $1,000. There you go. The next store was another dropshipping store. So I thought like the key was just like you got to hit the product that works, and then it'll scale. This one actually did work, but it was bad because this was right when China this was during COVID, right when China shut exports for a lot of stuff. So it was like basically I pirated some course off of I found on Reddit on how to dropship business guys strategy or whatever. And then this time I sold those computer stands so you can stand up and type.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I sold a bunch of those. I did Facebook ads for that and Instagram marketing. And I sold I sold way too much and I couldn't
fulfill the orders.
I couldn't fulfill the orders.
How many of these computer stands did you sell?
I sold it for $100 and I bought them for $5.
And how much were you spending on Facebook ads and stuff? It was
nothing. It was
$30
max, total.
Crazy.
Until I oversold too many. There was I sold the whole stock and I didn't have anything left. And then literally there was not enough left, and I just waited, and then I tried to I took way too long. People were where's my back my stand thing? And then I couldn't give it to them, so I had to get my money back, and then I just stopped dropshipping. This is not that cool. This sucks actually.
No, it's perfect. Yeah. No, it's great. I had the same experience with empanadas, but not quite. I don't know how many online stores and other things I started, and it's just 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 5,000 0, 0, 0.
Yeah, exactly. I got banned from TikTok.
What?
Or shadow ban it. Basically, I figured out it was basically if you post financial numbers, something like that, they do shadow ban you. I did some research. That's kind of what I figured out. And then, or if you promised something, it was something about the financial nature of it.
Yeah, they don't want you to promote financial advice and stuff.
Something like that.
Suddenly they get sued, I think.
Exactly. So then I basically started a new account and similar vibe, but then instead of trying to sell something, I basically just had my Young Investors Network thing, which is my the last thing that I did in high school. And I did that for a couple of years. That was the thing where I met Ben, this whole thing, which was basically just that was solid. It was if you're young, you want to work in investment careers generally, and you're in Seattle area, we'll basically just come and we can do events and help you get internships and stuff like that, and we can do.
You just want to help young people, kind
exactly.
of thing.
And we started a chapter in London with another kid who was there, off of that, and that went well. And then did a bunch of big events in Seattle, not big, but a bunch of events in Seattle. And then that's how I met a bunch of people in Venture. I thought I got into Venture, and then that's how it led to the Bummer stuff. That's kind of the whole process. And then Bummer. Then this was
this makes total sense looking back in hindsight. You start some businesses in high school. You have a few go well.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind when you had TikTok success? But I imagine that is it one of those things where you wake up in the morning and you look at yourself in the mirror and you're I'm making money, but.
I mean, I remember thinking people would see my people who were at school would see my TikToks and they would they thought it was cool. During COVID, I didn't really know many people when I was at public school first year, and then COVID happened, kind of blew up on TikTok. People saw my stuff. I got just decent amount of views, you know what I mean? And people saw that and oh, this is cool. And then that was kind of cool to see. I was sophomore in high school.
Yeah.
And then but I think it was obviously I didn't want to be a TikTok day trader.
Influencer for finance.
Exactly. That's bad. So
this was a sophomore in high school, so you were 16-ish,
16.
something like that.
Yeah. So I was 15, 16.
And you worked on the fellowship for 3 years.
Young Investor
Sometime.
Network. Yeah. That was like, sophomore year. So like TikTok was like 1 year, like my sophomore year. And then Young Investors Network was like sophomore year to senior year of high school.
Wait. So for the Young Investor Network, were you trying to bring get young people to be interested in investing or like the finance field?
Get interested, like have like information access.
Yeah.
And then like meet other people who are interested in that, and then hopefully get jobs from like.
Why'd you leave from that to like entrepreneurship instead?
Yeah, I learned about VC through starting Young Investors Network, and I liked VC a lot.
Did you meet Ben at one of those events?
He talked to one of my events. I spoke at one of my events. That's how I met him originally, and that's how I heard about. It was through him I heard about venture because he worked at Pioneer Square Labs, which is like one of the funds in Seattle, and then another guy who I worked for, who was like my Cub Scout leader or something like that. And I like LinkedIn messaged him and he's like, hey, we should meet. And then I did like some internship stuff for him, and he was like the venture guy I mentioned earlier.
Yeah,
I interned for in high school.
Do you think you've got a little bit of I don't know if high risk tolerance, but willingness to fail, which kind of allows you to reach out to people and say like, I'm doing a thing.
Yeah,
I'm putting on something. Will you come help me? We've got a good reason for doing it.
Yes, like I think I started LinkedIn messaging a ton of people because like one of the guys told me like just like talk to a lot of people and that'll help you. Who are like have done things that are impressive in your eyes. So I just like started LinkedIn messaging a lot of people, like get a couple responses, and that like was interesting, and I'd use that to like plug them into my network. And, like the way Young Investor Network is like basically a way to like it was like a funnel of like you respond to my message. I don't want to just like have nothing to offer, so I was like, hey, like come to this event I'm putting on or speak, and like people want publicity, so like that was people like that, and like
so you give them a reason for engaging.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
try to add some value in some way, which is like come to the event, speaking, and meet a lot of people, or you like have some publicity in some way, or you like meet potential interns or something like that.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And you still had like an insanely difficult time. Was there any moment where you were trying to raise and then just decided not to for the first cohort?
For the fund or for the first cohort?
Yeah.
First cohort was like nonprofit money, so it was like we had like $5K check, like a couple $5K checks.
Why was it nonprofit, by the way?
Just to basically, if you raise a whole fund, you couldn't basically like. Yeah, I wanted to basically prove this out because I think I could raise a way bigger fund than if I just like a small like cohort 1 fund. First of all, it costs a lot of money to like start a fund, just like legally, as I told you.
Yes.
And then second, it's like the admin, like funds are 10 years, right? The admin of like a 1 cohort fund would not be worth it. So it was like, if I can do 1 cohort just to like prove it out, then do like a multi-cohort fund that makes sense to run for 10 years, or like the admin for 10 years, then
Who were the first people that invested or gave you money for the nonprofit?
Josh Manchester, I mentioned him, like Cubic Capital, which is a fund. I think Michael Gibson from 2017 gave me some money. It's a random fund. I forget the name of them. Like an angel group type thing. So it's like, yeah, I think 4 people.